In the long and shadow-filled halls of Port Charles, where love and danger often seem indistinguishable, few characters have walked a path as intricate, haunted, and ultimately hopeful as Dr. Kevin Collins. His story is one woven through twinhood, tragedy, second chances, and a love that managed to anchor him even when the ghosts of his past clawed at his back. To understand Kevin is to understand the delicate balance between identity and destiny, and the power of choosing who you become. Kevin Collins didn't merely arrive in Port Charles. He drifted in on the storm winds stirred up by his twin brother, the notorious Ryan Chamberlain. Ryan, the serial killer whose crimes etched fear into the city's memory, had long been a specter haunting Port Charles. What many didn't expect, however, was that Kevin, compassionate, thoughtful, almost painfully gentle, would become the living mirror of that trauma. Being Ryan's twin was never easy. From childhood, Kevin learned to shrink himself, to fade into the corners where expectations and danger couldn't reach him. Their mother, grappling with her own demons, leaned into denial rather than healing, leaving Kevin to process his brother's cruelty and instability alone. As an adult, he made a choice few ever manage. He turned his pain into purpose, becoming a psychiatrist known for empathy so deep it sometimes broke him open. Kevin's early years in Port Charles were marked by moments of hope and heartbreak. He built connections, Lucy Coe, so wild and luminous, nearly cracked open his cautious heart. Their relationship was a mix of passion and chaos, sweetness and sorrow. As delightful as she was, Lucy lived half in the realm of possibility and half in reckless impulse, and though Kevin cared for her deeply, he struggled to ground himself in that whirlwind. But the real turning point for Kevin wasn't in love, it was in terror. Ryan's return, or rather, Ryan's reemergence forced Kevin to confront the darkest part of himself. For years, Ryan had been presumed dead, swallowed by the aftermath of his crimes. But madmen on soaps rarely stay buried. Ryan resurfaced with a vengeance, his obsession with Ava Jerome igniting old fires of violence and manipulation. And for the first time, Port Charles confronted not one Chamberlain, but two. Kevin's mistake, the one that would haunt him and nearly cost him everything, was underestimating Ryan. Believing his twin could be treated, rehabilitated, contained. Believing in redemption where none was possible. That mistake led him into one of the most chilling storylines in modern General Hospital history. Ryan kidnapped Kevin, impersonated him, and unleashed hell on the people Kevin loved most. But as Kevin has always done, he survived the storm. And waiting on the other side of that storm was Laura Collins, a woman who understood what it meant to carry a past made of sharp edges. Their love wasn't a whirlwind like Lucy. It wasn't a tentative dance like Kevin's early romances. Laura was different, grounded, wise, fiercely loyal. She had lived 1,000 lives before Kevin, from the terrors of Cassadine captivity to the heartbreak of lost years with Luke. Where Kevin carried quiet guilt, Laura carried quiet strength. Together, they made something steady, something real. Their romance blossomed not in the absence of chaos, but in the midst of it. Kevin admired Laura's leadership, her intuition, her nearly supernatural ability to see light in people who'd long forgotten it. Laura found in Kevin a partner who listened, truly listened, and who offered the kind of emotional safety she'd been denied for much of her life. Marrying her didn't just give Kevin a wife, it gave him a family, a legacy, a place to finally lay down roots. But Port Charles is never peaceful for long. Even after Ryan was once again trapped, captured, or presumed dead, depending on which twist you prefer, Kevin still found himself navigating the shadows of that cursed twinhood. Every crisis involving Ryan reopened wounds, not only for Kevin but for the town. And Kevin, ever the healer, carried the burden of apologizing for sins that were never his. Yet Laura remained his compass. Whether they were dealing with mayoral scandals, Cassadine schemes, or the endless parade of catastrophes that define life in Port Charles, she held Kevin's hand through it all. Their marriage became one of the city's rare stable pillars, grounded in trust, communication, and a shared dedication to the people around them. Even so, Kevin's internal battles never fully faded. The storyline grew richer whenever Kevin slipped into his role as counselor, mentor, or emotional anchor for other characters. His sessions with Spencer, his guidance for troubled teens, his gentle interventions in Port Charles, more broken souls, These moments revealed Kevin's superpower. Unlike Ryan, who reveled in darkness, Kevin walked into others' darkness to bring them out. But the writers never let the twin arc fade completely. Ryan's shadow lingered in unexpected ways, through Esme prints, through DNA twists, through unhealed trauma that sometimes resurfaced when the town least expected it. Kevin's greatest fear was always that he might somehow share more with Ryan than blood. But time and again, Laura, his friends, and even his patients reminded him. Kevin Collins is defined not by his twin, but by his choices. His story, at its core, is about healing, the long, imperfect, ongoing kind. It's about a man who spent half his life living in fear of becoming someone he was never meant to be, and the other half learning to embrace who he truly was. A man who took the ugliest parts of his past and turned them into a force for good. A man who found love not because he was flawless, but because he was honest, vulnerable, and willing to grow. Today, Kevin stands as one of Port Charles' most quietly powerful characters. He's a reminder that soap heroes don't always carry guns or storm into burning buildings. Sometimes they hold a pen, open a patient file, or sit across from someone who's losing hope. Sometimes they love fiercely enough to transform not only themselves, but the world around them. And sometimes, when fate is feeling particularly dramatic, they do all that while sharing DNA with a serial killer. Kevin Collins didn't choose Ryan, but he chose Laura. He chose healing. He chose to define his life not by the nightmare he was born into, but by the love he built along the way. And that is why his storyline continues to resonate so deeply in the heart of General Hospital.